Hey everybody, welcome into another edition of Make Every Second Count Live with me, your host and international award-winning Make Every Second Count speaker. Now my background is I was in a car wreck when I was 17. I was in the hospital for 2.5 months, in a coma 3.5 months. They told me that I wouldn't walk again, and I'm here today. And I just want to help other people get from what they're dealing with through that and to the other side so they can live their best life. Now, I ask you if you would please share this episode out, invite people to watch this episode because that would be nothing short of amazing. But I have a very special guest tonight in Caleb Ortega. So please feel free to ask as many questions as you would like. If you're watching live, please tell us where you're from. If you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay so I can see who is watching with me afterwards. All right. So I would like to introduce Caleb Ortega.
What's going on? How are you?
How are you, man?
Life is good. Can't complain. Can't complain.
Great to see you, and thank you so much for joining me on my show tonight. Now, I'm going to ask you if you would introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, what you do, and why you do what you do. And I'm going to be inviting some people on my phone, but I am paying attention, I promise you.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I am originally from Massachusetts, New England, and I joined the military at 18, traveled the world, spent about 20 years, 21 years in, and saw some amazing things, saw some scary things, and retired. And as I got out, kind of asked myself some big questions. What am I? What do I want to do? What's my dream? And I decided that I want to try writing, and I want to be a writer, and I want to create new stories. So that's what I did. I began writing and love it. I love following my dream towards accomplishing, every new book that I end up publishing. So that's where I'm at in my life. I'm enjoying every day.
That is awesome, man. So, can you tell us a little bit about why you joined the military, and then we'll go on after you tell us why you joined.
Sure. Well, I would love to tell you it was all patriotic and I was just that type of motivated American at 18 years old or something. But the truth was, I don't think I really had a plan. I was a little bit aimless. I decided if I can't be a professional baseball player, which there was no way that was going to happen, then the Army would be like a nice backup. And I hadn't really thought it was going to be what it was. I just looked at it as something, well, I'll just try it out and see how it is. And it just took. I just absolutely loved it the moment I got in, and the going and basic training, and they really do a good job of what they describe as kind of like breaking you down to build you up into this new, better version of yourself. And so I went from this, unpatriotic, somewhat lazy 18-year-old to a pretty motivated person who really, I would say, fell in love with the country. Of course, I think I always loved the country like every other kid, so to speak. But just going through the basic training, understanding some of the history a little bit more and where I was at, my place in the world, it really brought newfound value for me. And I took it throughout my entire 20 years, and I definitely loved it, enjoyed it, and grew to, even now at my age, love my country even more. Yeah.
That is awesome. So I have to tell you, thank you so much for your 20 years. I realize that was a sacrifice for you and your family, and I really, really, really do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about what kind of things you had to deal with while in the military?
Yes, absolutely. The military it's so different than any other job. It's very unique, and in one tasking for about 3 years, I'm working in a basic training with drill sergeants, and we're yelling at brand new 18-year-old, recruits, and they're learning. And then in other places, I was overseas alone working in a post office. And then you're next thing you know, you're in the middle of a convoy in the Middle East, and you hear bullets flying, and it's just this, you don't know where you're going to be the next year. And so you just kind of enjoy the ride. I want to say enjoy the ride. I'm going to use the word enjoy loosely sometimes. It's not always fun, but you just don't know where you're going to be. And it's almost as if you just live 3 or 4 different lives in the military. And one of them is definitely in deployment overseas in some harsh, very stressful situations. And you just kind of make the best of it. And then other times you're just laughing and joking and playing sports with your friends and really kind of getting to know people. So it's really interesting. And yeah, I wouldn't change it.
That's awesome, man. But all right, those seem like big life changes to me, and moving on, going somewhere new, and starting over every year. That would be extremely hard. So, how exactly did that affect you? And then, how did you deal with that? And how did you get past the mental aspects of that?
And honestly, it's a great observation, great question. Uh, the military in and of itself, in all truth, just because of those moves, it really is much more stressful. The chance of saying, oh, I have this lifelong friend that I've known for 15, 20 years, it's almost just not there available to you, because you're going to move in 3 years and you're going to meet someone new. And you adjust with that stress. And because of that stress, uh, that's one of them that makes the military being considered to be one of the more stressful type jobs. And yet at the same time, when you go to these new places and you see these people you've never seen before in any way, and within 5 minutes you're laughing and joking as if you've known them for years, because they've been in the same situation. And they know, if I can't make friends with you, if I can't communicate with you, I'm not going to be able to communicate with anybody. We're all we have. And that kind of proverb of misery loves company, it's true. They know what it's like to go somewhere and be alone for the first couple weeks. And so the moment you meet somebody, most people with each other, with soldier on soldier, we're very outgoing, and we have a totally different type of language, different type of humor, and it's not always politically correct or something, but it's our own culture that lets us go into the next place and just immediately sink in as if you've been there for a long time. So it has that familiar vibe, even though you're doing it over and over again. And it can be a lot of, honestly, 95% of the people who join the Army get out after 4 years because of that stressful lifestyle. So it really is difficult. But once you decide to wrap your mind around it and accept that this is the life that you're choosing, it comes with its own different rewards, very unique rewards.
Yes, that is amazing. So, but there's something that I have noticed on this show, and all right. Before I get into that, I would like to take a second and celebrate some of the people that are watching with us and give them a shout out and tell them hi and whatnot. So I would like to say hi to Marilyn Bolton. She says hello from Indiana. And
Hello.
then Ben Bruce is watching us from Nigeria, Africa. And then my dad is watching us from across the street. And then I have a new friend named Adam that is watching us, and he is watching us from England. And then we have Brenda Ringwood, who is watching us from Lawrence, Kansas. And then Adam says, Chief Ortega, really chill guy.
I have been called relaxed all my life.
Well, that's great, man. So there's one thing I've noticed on this show, doing it for 4 years now, that people always talk about a circle. The circle of friends, their circle of people that support them, that are around them. And I would have to say that I think the armed services, whatever it might be, if it's the Marines, Navy, Army, and or the Coast Guard, I believe that is one of the armed forces.
Well, we can count it.
But I have noticed that, well, you said that everybody is like going through the same things, so they know what you're going through, and they know how that you're stressed, you're like feeling like antsy, and that's really cool. I think people need to look for more people in the world that are going through the same kind of thing that they are, because I mean they might not know the exact situation that you're in. They may not know the exact feelings that you have, but they know basically what you're feeling and basically how they can help you through that. And that's what I want to do. I want to offer people in the world a way to reach out to other people that are dealing with the same kind of things. So I think it's great that you said that.
Yeah.
So if you said that those people help you deal with a lot of that stuff. So do you have any suggestions for other people that are going through something similar?
I would tell you, I'll use an example, is while I describe this moving constantly and getting to know the person, and you just kind of sink in and you end up talking with them, even though you've only known them for 5 minutes when you travel because of that, it's also very stressful. And that consistent moving, and you almost lose a little bit of that ability to say, wow, I've had this friend for 5 or 10 years. This person really knows me. And a lot of it is just this shared misery type feeling. And while I was overseas, I'll share this with you, is that we had an individual who unfortunately was feeling that stress, going through a tough time, and chose not to share it. And because they did not share it, a lot of times it is too much, that mental pressure that we put on ourselves, and it was too much to bear for this individual, and they ended up unfortunately taking their life. And yet what that sparked was a lot of other individuals to look at themselves and say, I'm feeling very similar. And just because of who I am and the way that I would say maybe my situation, I had at that moment 3 or 4 people, all separate, did not know each other, begin to speak to me. And one of them said very clearly, I just want to let you know that I'm having very similar thoughts than this person who unfortunately did that. And because of him coming out and just speaking to me, we were able to talk, and thankfully we were surrounded by very good people. And rather than being deployed for the next 7 months in that stressful environment, add to whatever the individual was going through, we were able to actually fly them home. And we flew home 3 individuals. And when I got home, 10 months later, I saw these 3 individuals one by one in different situations, and they all kind of greeted me and said, thank you. And just, I didn't know them. These weren't my best friends. They weren't people I had known 3 and 5 years or whatever, like 20 years that other people do. I think the most important thing that we can do is take a moment, find somebody that you believe is capable to have that level of empathy. And whether they're a stranger, a coworker, a boss, a best friend, it doesn't matter. Go share with that person and share them in a truly vulnerable way. I think there's a difference between telling somebody I'm having a bad day versus I'm really thinking suicidal thoughts. Those two separate things. Or I'm just going through an incredibly tough time. To sit someone down, to make time to sit someone down that you believe in and that you trust, I think it's so valuable. It's just you're just doing it to me. Let's say calling up a therapist, if that's what the case may be. Just the phone call alone is taking a step that tells you that you're worth it, that you're valuable. And I think it almost slows down a lot of the negative thoughts and allows you to sometimes already begin to make the right steps, even though all you've done is acknowledge where you're at mentally or what's going on. So I just can't express enough about how talking to others is incredibly important, that the right people. Yeah.
Yes, that is a great point too, that you can reach out to all kinds of people. All kinds of people are in this world to help other people. I mean, that's what I do. That's what I want to do. I want to help other people, and it's just something that you have to reach out. You can't be afraid to reach out. You know, Les Brown has a saying that ask for help. And not because you are weak, but because you want to remain strong. And ask for help until you get that help. And don't stop until you get it.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that is really important, that people need to reach out, because it is okay not to be okay.
Right.
That is something that we have learned a lot lately, that it's okay not to be okay. But I'm here to tell people that they can do this.
Yeah.
That life isn't that hard, that you just have to reach out for help sometimes. Not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong.
And because you're valuable. I remember learning a lesson that I thought was really valuable, and it's that the golden rule that we're taught from kindergarten in every culture, just about, that you should love others how you love yourself, treat others how you want to be treated. However you word it, it kind of comes across the same. And I think we forget that the value and how you value other people is really, in the golden statement, is how you value yourself first. You're the standard of how you should treat other people, treat others how you want to be treated. And yet, so we're very quick. I think good people, there's so many good people in the world who are especially suffering internally because they're so used to giving themselves. And they give so much to the point where they don't have anything left, and they're hurt and they're broken. But the truth is, if you just flip it a little bit and treat yourself the way that you're treating everybody else, there will be times when you're going to say, no, I'm not going to do this to take care of this person because I need that personal time. I need just to relax and unwind and read a book and whatever it may be. It is so important to take care of your own mental health, to avoid that breaking point of, where some people get to. So it's easy to take care of other people and put them so much ahead of yourself that you forget who you are. I think it's sometimes important to stop and say, no, I'm every Tuesday is my day. I'm not sharing that time. Phones are off, and I'm going to be selfish during that time, because there's nothing wrong with being selfish to value yourself in that way too. So, yeah, no, I absolutely agree with what you're saying.
Yes, that is awesome. And I can tell you right now that we are getting a ton of comments about this topic, and people saying all kinds of things like, let's see, this topic is exactly for me. It's what I need to learn. Thanks, Mr. Caleb Ortega. And then we have Liz Hypes saying, such a common occurrence. Huge love to everyone going through this with my 14-year-old. And then Marilyn Bolton says, taking time for each other. Perfect. And then let's see who else. I can't agree with this beautiful soul more. So that's from Liz Hypes, and it's pretty awesome. I love all these comments. And then really nice. Well, that's a long one. You can read that, but I don't want to read it out loud. And then Marilyn says, beautiful, reaching out not because you are weak, but because you want to remain strong. And then Ben Bruce says, fire emojis for you, Caleb. So that's pretty awesome, guys. We thank you so much for the comments. Please keep them coming. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them and I will get them answered for you. So I know we talked before this show a little bit about losing friends while in the military. Now, how exactly? I mean, I know how you lost friends, but what was that like, I guess?
Well, I would tell you my very first one was straight out of basic training. And, at that point, you've gone through 9 weeks of just incredible, intense training. And he died in a car accident, and you're just, again, when you're thinking Army soldier, you're preparing to go to combat, you're preparing to do these amazing things and try to help people the best that you can. And to lose somebody like that, I would tell you that life hit me in very quick ways that nothing is permanent, nothing is forever. You don't know when something may occur. And it really kind of changed me. So that one was one of the tougher ones. While deployed, we definitely lost a few people. And I know I was telling you over the show, prior to the show, is I would tell you my most stressful moment in my entire life. I'll never forget it. It was on a night while deployed, and I kind of looked up in the stars, and the sky is like, why is this happening to me? I'm at my breaking point, and I don't feel like I was strong enough at that point to tell people how broken I felt. And so I would allude to things, but it wasn't that way that I would try to encourage people now to be very direct. And so I wasn't getting the responses I should have, but it was my own fault because I wasn't being as clear. And so I'm looking at the stars and just miserable, and out of nowhere, a rocket flies over my head, and I just tensed, my whole body tensed, and I squeezed, and I said, this is it, it's over. And thankfully it landed and no one was hurt, maybe 20, 25 yards away. And I would tell you immediately, all the stress that I have ever felt in my entire life was gone. And it just, I felt euphoric. I felt just amazing. And I tell normal civilians this who have never been, I would say, in like a near death experience or never been broken before. And that feeling of euphoria, that feeling of happiness, it doesn't relate. But for those of us who have been broken or who have been in just a near death experience where it could have been just an inch one direction kind of thing, and life is different, you just have a different outtake, you have a different look, and it feels good. And so from that moment forward, if I hear people even in an indirect way mention something about their mental health, I will directly ask them, be very specific. If I see somebody who looks like they're going through a tougher time, I try to really reach out to that person. Just because, like you're doing with this amazing show, is when you've experienced it, the best thing you could give to people is that it can be amazing on the other side when you make it through, and let's help you get through that. And I know that for me, there's been people who helped me make it through, and I want to help as many people as I can, because in truth, when I saw he was 18, 19 years old in the car accident, I just really learned at that moment, nobody's promised to make it to 120 years old. We're just not. So let's just enjoy what we have. Really never take it for granted.
That is fantastic advice. Actually, that's one of my main things in one of my main presentations, is not taking things for granted. So I have to say, you nailed it. Yeah, I
Appreciate
love that.
Yeah.
But so how does this stuff affect your life afterwards, and how does it affect the the raising of your daughters, because you're a single father of 2 teenage girls, correct?
One girl, one boy, and then I do have a
Oh,
20-year-old as well. But yes.
oh, well, you didn't tell me about that one.
Yeah, he's already a man, so
Oh, all
yeah.
right. So you just leave him out. You're just like,
Yeah,
eh.
yeah, exactly. No,
All
no, he's doing his own thing, and I told him the same thing I would tell everybody is when you do look at this life that we have, what are you passionate about? What do you like doing? And so for me, it became writing, and not just writing, but outpouring all my thoughts. And so I began writing 1 year ago, just about, maybe a year and a couple months. And it's turned into, I'm publishing my third fantasy novel this next month. I've actually written 8 or 9 of them, but they're going through editors because I'm not that great of a writer and I need a lot of help. But it's about following your passion, and either one, you do your passion as a profession, and those people tend to be the happiest people there are on the earth, or you maybe you do have to get a normal job, quote unquote a normal job, but whatever income you have, you make sure part of that goes towards your passion. Because at the end of the day, if you're working and you're not pursuing that dream of yours, I just don't know if that's the life that you want to live. That appears to be one of those lives that end up breaking, that you end up going to this point of like, what am I even doing? Why do I feel miserable? Why am I not happy? And the truth is, you're just not doing what fate wants you to, what you're supposed to be doing, what really makes you happy, however you understand that to be. That inner child in you is not pleased. So to me, every day I write, I go to bed like smiling ear to ear, blanket to my chin, just, dreaming away, and totally content. And it's because it's not about the money. It's not about how much I earned or how many book sales I get. I am totally satisfied with every happy review. I think they're amazing and they serve as motivation. But it's because I'm doing what I love to do. And that's what it boils down to. Do what you want to do. And I think everything else really starts falling into place a lot easier for you.
Wow. So, all right, I have to stop there for a minute because we have a question going back to your first point, and it's from Marilyn Bolton. She says, "Isn't reaching out the wrong ways still working to find out the way that works for you?"
Yeah. I want to be careful. I always think everything takes wisdom. So I'm going to use that and say that still, but I call that stating the obvious. Everything takes wisdom. You don't want to just walk up to random people and start asking them those questions, kind of thing. But I also really believe that one, it gives them value, it gives you value, but there's no such thing in wisdom as doing it the wrong way. And what I mean by that is, if somebody's having those thoughts, then by bringing it to light, you are affording them an opportunity that just might save them. And you should never take for granted or the thought that if you mention it and then something ends up happening, that somehow you're the reason that it happened. The truth is, when somebody's in a mental level of that, when they're going through that mental level of anything towards suicidal thoughts, they're in such a hole in their mind that you mentioning it's not going to either really break them in any way, shape, or form, because in truth, they're already broken. So the best thing to do is give them value and show them. If somebody's, let's say they're feeling great, then, I mean, if you bring that out to light and ask them, I think maybe they might be offended, if anything, like, no, I'm actually perfectly fine. This is just my face. I always look sad, or whatever their reason is. But in truth, I think sometimes we hide and we wear masks and we're afraid to show our real selves. And it's like, it's a not good question to ask people, because it makes people uncomfortable. Have you ever thought about, are you thinking about hurting yourself? Are you having these types of thoughts? And because it's such an uncomfortable situation, it really is. a lot of people don't want to go there because, who knows where it may lead. But the truth is, you don't want to be that person. And I will tell you, I am one of those people who did not pose the questions to the individual, and the individual did take their life. And now you have a whole nother realm of questioning of, what if I would have stepped in? What if I would have asked that person? What if I would have said something? And I think that I would rather ask somebody in the wrong way, and who knows where that may lead, maybe leave good or not so good, and have an argument, conversation, whatever it may be. But I'd rather do that 100 times than for the outcome of not mentioning something that's in my mind that maybe this person's going through, and they end up actually doing something. And it's a weight that I wouldn't want anybody to wear.
Yeah, I thank you so much. I hope that answers your question, Marilyn.
Yeah.
But so how exactly, all right, how can I word this? How exactly can people find what's going to make their heart content, what their passions are in life, that is going to make them all happy when they go to bed at night, and pull those covers up real high and just be like, I'm doing what I love, and yeah.
I would tell you, the first things first is have inner dialogue and trust your inner dialogue. I just think that that's one of the most important things, is to really trust your gut. I read this amazing article, and I think there's plenty of videos on YouTube and all that good stuff to kind of describe what I'm about to say. But it was an older person, and they were asking, what's your biggest regrets in life? This person's older and they've lived a full life, and their answer, I think, is kind of a standard answer for older folks. And it was not what they did. Oh, I made a mistake in my life when I cheated on my school exam, or I took a job that I really didn't like. Their biggest regrets are things that they didn't do, that they wanted to do. That their gut was, hey man, you're 85, but you want to ride a roller coaster, go ride it. If you feel like this job is not the job for you, it's okay to shake hands with your boss and say, I got to go somewhere else. I think having that true inner dialogue, trusting yourself, going with your gut. And the beauty of it is, in all truth, is, let's say it doesn't exactly work out the way you wanted. You have the comfort of knowing, I did what I wanted to do. I did it my way. And if you work hard at it, and we can use my books as an example. I'm not a best-selling author, but I get, some sales here, a sale here, and it just feels good. But it is easy to look at me and say, he's a failure. This guy he imagines things and writes it down for a living. When what I could have done was taken 20 years and my degree and 20 years in the military and go get a nice 6-figure job and make tons of money. But that's not going to make me happy. I'd rather fail at something I love doing than to be unbelievably successful at something I'm just not going to be pleased with, and stress over something that I just don't care about. So I just think trusting your inner dialogue, have a conversation with that inner child that I believe everybody has, and ask him or her, hey, what do you want to do today? And go do it. And yeah, I mean, we all have jobs, we all have full-time jobs, but if you like your job, it makes it much more easier. Or at a minimum, take the money from your job and then go take it and spend it on things that you like doing. I think that's very important,
Yeah, that's awesome. So I have to point out here that Ben Bruce says he has been jotting down all the key points. You're such a great man, Caleb. And then Mark says, or Adam says, a huge lesson, Ben Bruce, inspiring. I still have dreams of being a musician. Even in my spare time, we can't dream or not pursue hobbies, things we have love for. So
I think Adam is a perfect example of the beautiful world we live in today. Is, you can go to YouTube. You can go to like Fiverr has apps for it, and you can watch people who love making music so much so that they give you free videos on how to play guitar. And so you don't have to play, spend thousands of dollars getting lessons. There are people who just have that passion the same way we have our passion, and they're trying to do it for free. And I do it. I've posted it numerous times on my Facebook, on my Twitter, on my IG, everywhere. Like if you want to read my book and you cannot afford it, that's no problem. I'm sending it to you. Let's talk about it. Let's, whatever, because a lot of what I think and my motivation and how I feel is what I'm pouring into my books. So I want people to read it. And if I could get you to have it for free, then and I'll do it. No problem. I wish we lived in that type of world. But there are people making it available to you if you are willing to take that time. And I can tell you, for me, nothing against TV. I actually enjoy a good movie every once in a while. But I find that if I shut off my TV, I am far more productive writing, and my writing is exponentially more than if I watch TV. And so for somebody, if you really want to make music, if you really have that desire, it's so doable. It's so doable today. And I would say today more than ever before. I mean, I don't know about, people in the middle of Europe, 1300s being able to grab a guitar, jump on YouTube and start strumming and learn from masters on how to play. So I just think happiness it's almost more readily available than ever before. And yet, because everything is so clouded, we're in society, we're also stopped more than ever before,
Yeah. That is amazing, man. I thank you so much. And I know I have kept you over the amount of time we had talked about. And I just want to ask you now, how can people get a hold of the books, and how can people talk to you if they want to?
Yes, absolutely. So we'll start with Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If you just search me under author CT Ortega, you'll find me on any of them in any platform. And then what I'll do is, I believe I can maybe leave a message at the bottom, or I'll leave a comment as well. And happy to talk with folks, whether it's about the books or not. It's really not relevant. I just really enjoy kind of communicating with folks, and to know that, especially for the show, that people are watching, on other sides of the country is really great. It's spectacular. So in any way, it'd be great. Yeah.
Marilyn says, thank you for sharing your passion and inspiration. And then Adam Mark said, or Adam, I don't know why I keep calling him Mark. We got to set them into motion. And then Ben Bruce says, this show shouldn't end. Mr. Caleb Ortega, don't leave us.
Well, all you have to do is tell them to have me back on one of these days. We'll do it again.
All right. Well, cool. But now I have to say thank you guys so much for watching tonight. I will be back next Tuesday evening with a brand new episode with another stupendous guest. That didn't sound right to me, but it's right. I know, but it didn't sound right. I will be back next week with another stupendous guest, and we try to help you live your best life. So from me to you, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to make every second count. Why? Because you never know when the seconds are going to run out on your one great life. Hey, you guys have a fantastic evening. See you next week.